first largest tree in the world is General Sherman. That's a giant sequoia over in California. Number 2 is a giant redwood, and that's the Lost Monarch, and that's also in California. Number 3 is Abu del Tule, and that's a cypress over in Mexico. And over here in New Zealand, number 4, Tāne Mahuta. Before I tell you guys how old he is, I'm going to show you how he starts. So kauri trees are special. They don't have male trees or female trees. They are monoecious, which means they both hold the male and the female cone in the same tree. And in October, both the cones will grow on the end of the branch. And then November, the male cone will open up, and then it gives them 48 hours to wind pollinate the female cone. Once the female cone's pollinated, she'll take 3 years to grow from the size of that to the size of this. And once she's made it to that size, on a windy day in January, February, they explode. Pine cones are situated hanging down, kauri cones are facing up, so when they explode they can shoot off to the side, and when they explode they release all of their little seed sections, and inside each little seed section there's a seed. Each seed has a wing on it, and the wing is designed to fly out to the side, catch the wind, and the tree make the seed helicopter out to the side and hopefully out of the shade of the parent tree. And then hopefully it gets some sun, gets some water, germinates, and then 2,000 years later, you have a tree like Tāne Mahuta. Can you guys see how scaly the bark looks? Like fish scales. So that's a defense mechanism for those 2 vines you can see crawling up the base of the tree. And what happens is a little piece of bark, just like this one, will fall away, and when it falls away, it takes a little piece of the stem with it. And when it takes the stem with it, anything above the severed stem dies off, and it stops the vine from crawling all the way up to the top of the canopy and suffocating his foliage. He's also protecting an ecosystem up there, so you can probably see lots of different plants growing up there. That's what he's holding is about 141 different plant species. So there's some grasses, lichens, mosses, shrubs. There's even a tōtara tree and a pahutakawa tree up there. And it's all the weight of all of those plants, the canopy and all the soil, all of that combined together is about 200 tons. And it's all pushing down on the trunk. And that's what causes those grooves and those lines that you can see in the tree. So it looks like Tāne Mahuta's twisting up. And that's because when they're young, they grow in a twist. But you can't see them when they're young, you can't see the twist. If you look behind you, you'll see a tree, 400-year-old tree, and you won't be able to see the lines because his canopy is not as broad as Tāne Mahuta's canopy. But you give that tree another 1,500 years, and it'll be just as big as Tāne Mahuta, and then he'll start to show his muscles. It's a defense mechanism for the splitting of the trunk. If the trees just grew straight up and didn't twist, when the canopy grew big, the trunk would just explode out. So that's why they grow up in a twist, so that when the canopy gets heavy, they just sit back down on the twist, and it gives them that structural integrity for the trunk. Can you guys see that snapped branch at the top? Looks freshly snapped. And what looks like wood hanging down at the base of the snap, that's not the wood, that's the kauri gum. And what happens is, because the kauri tree is the crown canopy, it's susceptible to strong winds, lightning strikes, storms, and that's what causes the branches to fall out of the tree. But when it breaks out of the tree, it'll ooze the kauri gum out of the end of the snap. All of the wood will start to rot, and it rots all the way until it hits the kauri gum. And the kauri gum stops all the rot, infections, the bugs, and the diseases from getting inside the tree and taking the rest of the branch with it. And then once he's finished healing off that snapped branch, you'll grow another branch out of the end of it. So an example of that happening is if you look over to the right, you'll see a branch the same thickness as the one that snapped, but it looks like it's just got a cap on the end of it, and then from that top of that cap, he's growing another little branch. So it doesn't matter if the branches of a kauri tree fall down, they'll just heal it up and grow another one. Can you guys see those bumps going up and down the tree? That's from when the branches have fallen out of the tree. And when they fall out, some of them come down with such force that they end up smacking the side of the trunk and gouging out a big chunk of the trunk. If that was left open, the water will get in and then it starts to rot the wood. our bugs can get in and start eating away at the healthy wood. So what it does, again, it oozes the gum out of the side of the tree, and it acts like a plaster or a scab and helps the tree heal its trunk. We've got one more defense mechanism up there, and that's for the soil. The soil that's keeping all of these trees up there alive, and that soil needs to stay wet. If you just grab wet soil and you stick it on some wood, that piece of wood's going to start to rot. Same as up in the tree, but again, the kauri tree will produce a big basin of kauri gum, and that kauri gum's job is to keep all the moisture of the soil up in the top of the canopy so that it doesn't rot down into the middle and kill the heartwood of the tree. So that's 4 defense mechanisms I've told you about the tree. There's one thing that this tree cannot protect himself from, and it's us, it's humans, and all the diseases and pathogens we can bring through on our shoes. So that's why I'm here, is to educate people on kauri dieback disease, a little bit about the tree, why we shouldn't walk through the forest, because the disease is microscopic fungal spore and you can't see it. If you walk onto an infected area and go and see an infected tree, you might pick up the spores on your feet, and then if you walk over to a healthy tree, you've just transferred the disease from this tree to the next tree. So that's why we keep everybody on the boardwalk and why we wash everybody's shoes before they come through. So thank you guys for washing your shoes before you came in. The last bit that I like about the tree is his root system. I believe this is the part of the tree that is sending a message out to humanity, and it's got a good lesson for it. So the tap root goes down 5 meters into the ground. When you think about a tree this big, this large and heavy, 5 meters into the ground, that's not that deep. Well, connected to that root system and up towards the surface is the lateral feeding root system. That goes double the width of the canopy. So it'll go all the way up to that back platform down there where those people are, and goes right around the tree. And on the end of that platform is the peg root system. They're about that thick, and they shoot into the ground 5 meters, and their job is to hold all of the mat down. And if there's a drought, they dig deeper into the ground to try and get more water, same as the tap root system. If it's a drought, the tap root just dives down more to try and get some more water. And even all of that root system, the peg root system, the lateral feeding root system, and the tap root system, is still not enough to hold the tree in the ground. All the weight of all of these other trees and their roots woven in with his roots is what keeps the tree in the ground. So if all of these other trees around us were to disappear, he'll just come falling down with a big gust of wind. So that's the example of the balance Tāne Mahuta has come to within his environment. He doesn't want to grow too tall, even though he's the most dominant tree in the forest. He doesn't want to be too dominant, because if he does, grows too tall and his canopy covers all of his support system, they die, they shade out, he has no support system and he falls over. It's a good lesson for us as humans to learn, because even though we're the most dominant species on the whole planet, some of us are still poisoning the rivers, some of us are still cutting down the forest. We need the rivers for our water and we need the forest for our air. So if we run out of all the forest and we poison all the rivers, we'll be just like Tāne Mahuta without a support system, and we'll all come tumbling down. So that's the lesson I reckon Tāne Mahuta and all big trees around the world are trying to teach us. So yeah, if you enjoyed that, hopefully you pass that on to the rest of humanity, and together we can save the world.
Awesome. Thank you.
When you, in our culture, after you stand up and you speak to people, you're supposed to sing a song. I don't like singing songs. I'll play this for you instead.
Thank you.